Larry Levin, and welcome to another edition of Hey Hey 5 and 5. And today we're with Karen Aroesty, who is the Regional Director for the Anti-Defamation League. Welcome.
Thanks, Larry.
We can't possibly talk about everything you're working on because that would comprise
a lot more than 5 minutes.
Talking to the legislature, talking to the media, talking to the public, educating hundreds if not thousands of people. So we'll just talk about a few topics that are in the news. So clearly at the forefront of everybody's mind right now in the Jewish community is Iran.
Sure.
How does ADL play a role when there's a world issue like this that heightens safety and security concerns for Jews in Israel?
I think it plays a role on two levels. On the national level, it's part of having the discussion with national political leadership around strong messages of the United States' strong relationship with Israel and support of democracy in Israel and all of those positive, broad foreign policy messages around the conflict in the Middle East. On a regional level, it comes down to a very, I don't want to say informal, but a consistent approach that has asked Jewish institutions in this community to pay attention and not really ever slack off, which is, I think, one of the challenges when it comes to security. A lot of folks think we, and I know this because I've been told this, feel that we talk about this too much. And the question is, how do we balance having local institutions pay attention to their security needs without creating anxiety? And it's hard when some of our alerts say there's no formal intelligence right now that there's anything on the ground, right? And so most of your executive directors and institutional people will say, so what is all the fuss about? And the truth is, it's not just us making the fuss. I think law enforcement institutions as well are looking very carefully at the risk that U.S. Jewish institutions can become a proxy for Iranian terrorism against Israel.
You have a very volatile post-Arab Spring Middle East. Obviously.
So-called Arab Spring.
So-called Arab Spring, whatever Arab Spring means, creating a massive amount of uncertainty, not to mention a large potential for anti-Semitic and anti-Israel rhetoric. But you also have the potential for self-determination by large populations. So when ADL is thinking about messaging and talking about these issues, it must be hard because you have to balance the need, obviously, for a strong and secure Israel and against anti-Semitic rhetoric and statements and actions, but by the same token, not speaking out against democratization of countries. How do you talk about that?
But let me emphasize the first part of what you said over the latter part because the first part of our mission is to stop the defamation of the Jewish people.
Right.
And the aspect of pro-Israel advocacy and Israel defense really is mostly related to that. So the discussion of democracy and the Arab Spring and the instability of these institutions, I think comes second to the discussion of anti-Semitism as a result of anti-Israel postures. And in that regard, it ends up very regional. The most regional example right now going around the country is that right now communities are preparing for the summer meeting of the Presbyterian Church USA, the General Assembly. They meet every 2 years. There is an enormous faction within the hierarchy of the PCUSA, which is the largest of the Presbyterian denominations, around what we call boycott, divestment, and sanctions, BDS. And the whole divestment movement that started back in 2004 has really become even more acute for Protestant denominations.
And was a major issue at the Presbyterian meeting in 2010.
Yeah, and to some extent when you hear from Presbyterian leaders in this neck of the woods and other parts of the country, I have the privilege of engaging in the National Interfaith Dialogue, is very real and is a huge part of that. So yes, the Iran, Arab Spring, foreign aspect to all of this issue, it seems to me, should take a back seat to what we do in our neighborhoods, talking with our Protestant friends, helping them understand the nature of the conflict, but particularly undermining whatever stereotypical sense they get of Israel as the aggressor, as the occupier, and as the bad guy.